So, welcome to our next episode of Interviewing the Experts. It is with great pleasure that I am joined with Rena Ghatoaura, and we're going to be talking about all things to do with spend within Workday Financials. So, first of all, for those who don't know, my name's Joel Kirkland. I am Managing Director of Focus on Workday. I lead a global team of 15 dedicated Workday recruiters. And Rena, tell us a bit about yourself.
Thanks, Joel. Hi, guys. So, my name is Rena Ghatoaura, and I've worked in the Workday ecosystem for 4 years. I've been working on the spend side, so that's suppliers, procurement, and also inventory. Prior to that, I was working on another ERP for 5 years. And thousands of years ago, as we would say, I was an end user as well. So, I was lucky to work in many industries from music, media, theatre, and also financial services. So that's just me in a nutshell.
Okay, and am I right in saying that you started off in finance?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay, so let's start there then. So, in order to be really successful at Workday Financials,
hmm
the big question is, do you need to come from a finance background?
So that's an interesting question. I think a lot of people could actually debate with that. There are pros and cons, but I think the end result will be the same. So, you're going to have two types of consultants. You're going to have a consultant like myself who came into Workday that didn't know Workday at all, but I had the end user experience. So I was lucky to I understand like the customer's like sort of language. So in Workday terminology, they would say an invoice adjustment, but in the accounts payable team, they will know it as a credit note. So I'll be able to kind of liaise with them with that kind of language. But the only downside of it, like 4 years ago, was I didn't know the tenant very well.
Sure.
So when it came to the systems wise, I didn't understand like how Workday thought and what I can do to customize it and do exotic things and stuff like that. But then when you do have a consultant that doesn't have the Fins experience but does have the Workday knowledge, um, it's good for them because they can do all that, be creative and show them the fun stuff in the tenant, but they might be a little bit stuck when it comes to like things just like the day-to-day spend process of how they do their inputting and the volumes and how it works in general. But I think overall, when it comes to both of these consultants, if you put them together, it really it will work out in the end because it's just really about time, experience, knowledge, and just learning and from each other. And also, if you have those two consultants working together in a project, it's actually a great marriage because you can brainstorm with each other and create something really good as well.
Okay, good stuff. Excellent. Okay, so let's talk about spend specifically then. Take us from the top, right? What is spend? What are the key areas? What are the key modules? Let's talk about that first.
So spend, the main one would be the suppliers. So that'll be the suppliers that you have, the things that you buy. It could also be, your rent, your phone bills, um, even like maintenance, buying printing stuff like that. So that's your suppliers, and then you have the invoices. So that's the supplier side of spend. And then you would have the procurement side. So that would be like your purchase orders. So that's something that you would create before you get the supply invoice, depending whether you want to use recognitions in Workday, but you have that, and also receipts. So that's kind of those two together. Some customers do want to use inventory as well, depending on their business. So that kind of links as well.
Okay, good stuff. And then implementing spend. So, what are your top tips? What do you need to do to gear yourself up for success?
I think what it is with customers, when they get a new system, a new ERP, it's a very exciting time. Everyone's just like, wow, this is like something brand new. And kind of sometimes they get a bit carried away. Things to really think about that I've seen in projects that I've been in when it comes to things like, let's say, data conversion, and that's moving your data into the new system. Sometimes the customers might just have like one allocated person to do that, That
Okay,
doesn't always work because they don't realize that that one person is not just doing spend, they could be doing other functional areas. So there is a lot of things to think about. So let's say with spend, you will have to move over your suppliers, your invoices, your purchase orders, maybe receipts, maybe. Then there's like your inventory if you're using that. So you've got to move over the balances. That's a lot for one person to do. So it's
sure.
being realistic as well. How many people you have in your data conversion team? Also is to ensure to have the right SMEs, the right points of call. So you have the main person who does the suppliers, the main person that does procurement. So that consultant then can build the relationship with that person as well and then go through the things. I think also is be realistic, be open-minded as well when it comes to moving into a new ERP system. I know change is a scary thing, and a lot of people will say, well, my old ERP used to do this, which I totally understand. I've been there as well. We've all been there. But it's about being open minded and, trying something new. Ensure to use end to end testing as well. Break the system. That's why it's there for. Break it. Do what you can with it. Do the things that you do every day and see whether it actually works for you. And then if it doesn't, have those conversations with the consultant as well. And then, go through it, share your screens, share the tenant together, show examples. And yeah, just those are the things I would definitely recommend.
Okay, fantastic. And then you started to allude to it in your overview there, but what skills do you need for implementing spend? So let's think about the team, the actual skill sets, and we can talk a bit about resource availability as well.
I think the skills is also is being mindful because I totally understand when it comes to customers, you have month end, right? So you have your month end, you've got your day-to-day stuff as what to do. But it's to have the right team, have the people that actually do the day-to-day work jobs and do those end-to-end testings because they're the ones that are going to be doing, using the tenant, right? And having that, somebody there to do the data and go through the spreadsheets, the beloved that we all love ERBs as well, EIB, sorry. So to go through that and make sure as well that you think about that you have to train your users as well, because sometimes customers will have to do that.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, I feel like certainly procurement, but spend overall is an area where there is quite good resource availability from a Workday Financials perspective. It is all relative though. Within the financial space, it's a limited resource pool. So interested to get your take on, being creative with it. If you can't find someone who does everything, for example, which modules sort of feed into spend, or which areas could you take someone and maybe cross train them to become an expert in the spend area?
So usually when we do like our first sessions with the customers, we actually, show them a slide of where spend hits in which functional areas. So, for example, if you're using intercompany and direct intercompany, that hits the customer side. And sometimes the people that use the customer functionality will maybe need to see how it feeds through on the supplier side to see the invoice. Another thing as well, which I've done it with my own colleagues previously, like for example, business assets. So when those leads are, configuring business assets, they need to create a supplier invoice to see if it actually works and the business asset is actually flowing through the approvals that it should do. And then there's like people who, do tax. They have to create an invoice to see if the tax is working, and if it's bringing up the correct tax amounts and it's actually feeding into the correct ledgers as well. So it does hit in a lot of areas.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a really good example. Okay, so let's talk about what's hot within spend. What are the key things going on right now, Rena?
So before I left my previous place, it was OCR. OCR was
Okay.
it was quite hot at that time. That was something for me that I was very passionate about, and everyone knows it's my spends my bread and butter. So for me, OCR was something that I really wanted to push out with customers and, get the feels and vibes for that. So that's definitely something that was hot out there.
Okay, so for us that aren't quite so gifted and skilled in Workday, what is OCR, Rena?
So let's think of like how we do day to day right now. Let's say let's say I was working for you and I give you my invoice, and then someone in the accounts payable will either get that from an email or they'll have it, with their hand.
Yep.
They might scan it manually, and then they will just input that invoice and they will have to put those amounts. So they will have to search for my supplier name, they will have to put in the figures themselves, select the tax themselves, um, find the purchase order that's linked to my supply invoice. That's just an example. OCR. So basically, we have an email that we would feed it through. So I will
Yep.
put my supply invoice in that email, and then that email ingestion will then feed into Workday. Workday will capture that and then grab that actual PDF invoice and then create the actual supply invoice in the tenant. The fun stuff
Okay.
with Workday, it will capture the company, the supplier, the invoice number, the amounts, and also if there is a purchase order on the actual supply invoice, it will actually find the purchase order as well and link it with that. And also at times even spend categories and the tax. So most of the
Okay.
work's done for you there.
Sounds pretty cool.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. 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 Okay. All right. So you're a product lead for Workday. So let's talk about that. That's something that is sometimes not so well known actually within the ecosystem.
Hmm.
So first of all, what is being a product lead?
I guess being a product lead is really like being the first point of call, I would say, when it comes to within your team. When you join the Workday product lead, you get to see sort of the fun stuff out there before it kind of hits in the community. You also get to liaise with other partners as well who are product leads. You get to see presentations as well. Um, and yeah, that's sort of like in a nutshell. And it's a very good way of doing housekeeping as well, so you can keep your fins team in check as well.
Okay. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the journey.
Hmm.
Obviously, you've been a spend expert for 4 years, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about kind of how the product has evolved. What are the key things that are happening, and what is your view of the future for spend as well?
I think it's evolved so much. Even like every day as we speak, Workday is always updating. There's always
Yep.
something brand new. And sometimes you have to take a moment and try and catch up as well, because when you're a lead, you need to know these things as well and be able to create these like new things out there, you know. With OCR, for example, I know it didn't have a really good reputation at the beginning when it first started, but now it's really good. I was able to deploy two go lives with it, and there's some really good packages out there in Workday community. We have Becky, Alicia, and also Mike on the inventory side on Workday. Um, and when you join the product lead calls, but you don't have to be a product lead, you can also join the KSS calls that they have for non-product lead people out there, and join those calls, and you will see all those fun stuff there, the presentations, the new things out there. I know that there was things that they were working on, for example, like remittances as well, things that us as consultants maybe could be have a little bit more hands-on with, rather than having an integrations team doing the bulk of it. So there's a lot of things out there that's happening. I think also when we spoke about being a product lead, the good stuff about that is you get to give feedback as well. So they have
Okay.
it, I think maybe once a year, or I think maybe twice, I'm not sure, where they have like their top three or top five, where you can actually provide some of the things that you feel that needs to be kind of like tweaked a bit or updated or a new idea or something that's been out there that hasn't been looked at. And all of us as like product leads will join a call and give our 2 cents of which ones we think should be the top 5. And
Okay.
it doesn't mean that it's going to be fixed straight away, but it's on their radar with Workday, and they will look into it. So that there's definitely some really good stuff happening, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Amazing. So would you recommend becoming a product lead if you get the opportunity to?
I think so. I remember I had a colleague that asked me once for a different functional area, and I said to them, I think it's a really good thing. Um, I think the last year or two, I've really kind of appreciated it more being a product lead. Like I said earlier about housekeeping, there's little things that we do wrong sometimes, like when we post a question on Workday Community, and sometimes we might be on the naughty step with Workday, but they might slap us a little bit on the hand, and I'm like, don't do that again. So I have to be like, guys, we have to do it the right way. But also you get to liaise with Workday themselves. You
Yeah.
build that rapport, that relationship with them as well. They're not scary people.
No.
And when you do have some time as well, what they did with Spend was like once a week, they will send out an email that will be Becky with a whole list of like Workday community questions that haven't been answered. So if we had some time, we would like have a look and give our knowledge and thoughts
Okay.
and workarounds, and that really helped. And yeah, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I can really see the benefit how you get to sort of input to the development of the product.
Yeah,
Give your opinion. Obviously, you're working with it day in, day out, so you're the SME in that category. So yeah,
I think
sounds good to me.
I think also you get a chance to also volunteer in a few things as well. So that one of them was OCR, where Alicia needed some feedback on OCR because they wanted to make a package. I know previously there was stuff out there on Workday, but yeah, as you know, it's kind of like all over the place. So you're trying to find it and grab piece by piece. So what she did was created a package. She wanted our feedback of things that we thought could change or add, and now they have that there, and it's really great. It's just like all the decks are there for us to use as consultants. There's even test scripts there. There's even like things on how we can work around with email ingestions, and a F and Q area as well. Another thing as well we were able to volunteer was they were going to update the spend certs as well. They wanted to revamp it, so we were able to join that call and give our feedback on, and maybe we don't need to have that question there, or maybe should we change that question and word it differently, or why don't we put these examples. And they really took that in, and I actually really enjoyed that call because I felt like I was giving some input and to help those people out there that are going to join the spend world and make it a little bit easier for them.
Okay. Okay, cool. So let's summarize. So we talked first about do you need to come from a finance background to be a successful consultant? I think you mentioned that you don't have to basically. It's an advantage in some areas and maybe
Hmm.
not in others. If you come from a systems background, you're going to be really good with the systems side. If you come from an end user background, you'll know all the processes.
Right.
Um, so that's cool. And then for implementing spend, just kind of run us through again your top tips, especially when it comes to things like testing and data.
Top tips: make sure you do a nice deep clean of your suppliers. Don't bring in suppliers that you haven't used 2 years ago. What's the point? Be realistic with the data. Try and pay all your invoices that you can before you go live, so then you don't need to bring in over 1,000 invoices. And we don't want to do that. So, don't do that. Pay them all if you can. And, close all your things like your purchase orders. You could have some purchase orders that have been sitting there opening from 2010. So, clean that up, have a good, nice, deep clean. Again, be open minded to what's out there, absorbing all that information, if you don't know or don't understand, it's okay to say, hey, I don't understand. Can you walk me through it? That's why we're here for as consultants, and that's to guide you through that. And yeah, definitely make use of Workday Community as well. There's some fun stuff out there that you can learn from there.
Okay, amazing stuff. Well, listen, Rena, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Oh, thank you
Thank you
so
for
much.
the fantastic insight.
Thank you so much.